Donald Trump is a sexual predator, so it makes sense that he's going to surround himself with like-minded, well, monsters. And now that Matt Gaetz has been knocked out of the running for Attorney General, the focus is on the next alleged sex predator in Trump's loser cabinet of appointees. Next up is Secretary of Defense pick Weekend Fox host Pete Hegseth. My name is Suri Crowe, and you are watching the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get into this mess. Pete Hegseth is not only completely unqualified for such a serious position as Secretary of Defense. He's a white Christian nationalist, but he's credibly accused of raping a woman at a Republican women's conference in 2017. I read through the entire 25-page police report that was released by the city of Monterey, California, and it is chilling to say the least. I'm going to let Lawrence O'Donnell of MSNBC explain the basic nuts and bolts for you.
She was one of the women in attendance at an event, a gathering of Republican women in that hotel where Fox weekend host Pete Hegseth was the keynote speaker. The woman identified in the police report is identified only as Jane Doe, and she is seen, police saw her on hotel surveillance video with Pete Hegseth. That's on hotel surveillance video. The police report indicates she, quote, believes that something may have been slipped into her drink as she cannot remember most of the night's events. She ended up in Pete Hegseth's hotel room, room 528. She told the police she remembers Pete Hegseth on top of her with his shirt off and his dog tags hanging from his neck down into her face. When the Monterey police got Pete Hegseth on the phone 10 days later, he admitted that the woman identified as Jane Doe was in room 528 with him, and he admitted that he had sex with her. He was even asked to describe the positions, and Pete Hegseth's descriptions of the positions confirm that his dog tags would have been hanging in her face. Pete Hegseth insisted to the police that the sex that happened in that room was completely consensual. Hotel personnel who were interviewed by the police described an incident near the hotel pool that night where Pete Hegseth was being loud and disorderly. The hotel security told the police that when they approached Pete Hegseth being overly loud at the pool at 1:30 a.m., quote, Hegseth began to curse. Hegseth told blank that he had freedom of speech. Jane Doe intervened and told blank that they were Republicans and apologized for Hegseth's action. Blank stated Jane Doe placed her hand and arm on the back of Hegseth and escorted him toward building 4 and 5. Blank stated he watched Hegseth and Jane Doe disappear into the area of building 5. Blank stated Hegseth was very intoxicated.
According to the police report, Jane Doe stated the next memory she had was when she was in an unknown room. Jane Doe did not know where she was and how she got to the room. Hegseth was in the room with her. Jane Doe remembered having her phone, and Hegseth inquired to whom Jane Doe was texting. Hegseth took her phone from her hands. Jane Doe stated she got up and tried to leave the room, but Hegseth blocked the door with his body. Jane Doe remembered saying no a lot. Jane Doe stated she did not remember much else. The next memory Jane Doe had was when Hegseth ejaculated on her stomach. Hegseth threw a towel at her and asked her, "Are you okay?" Two different women who attended the conference and spoke with police said that Hegseth put his hand on their legs and asked them to come back to his room on separate occasions. One of the women who worked at the conference told police that she told Hegseth the physical contact was not acceptable. I've run into men like Pete Hegseth my whole life. Most women have. They are predators. They believe that they can have and take whatever they want. They don't believe that no means no. They're just disgusting predators. So I believe this woman, Jane Doe's report and what she told police.
Hegseth's lawyer, Tim Pelletore, issued a statement today dismissing the entire incident and saying, quote, "This police report confirms what I've said all along, that the incident was fully investigated and police found the allegation to be false, which is why no charges were filed. That is not true. the police report does not find the allegations to be false. The last line of the police report is, I recommend this case be forwarded to the Monterey County District Attorney's Office for review. That lie will be told every day by some Republican supporting Pete Hegseth's nomination for Secretary of Defense. You will be lied to every day by at least one Republican who will tell you that the police report found the allegations to be false. That is a lie. Pete Hegseth married his first wife in 2004. Pete Hegseth transitioned from his first marriage to his second marriage by starting an affair during his first marriage. During his second marriage, Pete Hegseth had an affair with someone working at Fox who got pregnant during that affair and had a baby. Pete Hegseth's second wife filed for divorce in September of 2017 upon discovering that her husband's girlfriend working at Fox had a baby a month earlier. So Pete Hegseth has a baby with his girlfriend that he met working at Fox in August 2017. His wife files for divorce in September of 2017, and he's in room 528 in October of 2017 with his dog tags, as the police report put it, hovering over her face. 2 years later, Pete Hegseth married the girlfriend who had the baby 2 months before the alleged rape. And at some point in the next year, Pete Hegseth paid Jane Doe, the woman who accuses him of rape, a financial settlement of some kind to avoid a possible lawsuit from her. Pete Hegseth's lawyer told the New York Times that he paid the woman to try to keep the matter secret because, quote, he feared he might lose his job as a Fox News anchor if the allegation became public.
Well, now it is public, and rapist-in-chief Donald Trump wants to tap him to run the effing Pentagon. The Pentagon. It's just disgusting and a slap in the face to every woman who has ever been sexually assaulted. And quite frankly, to any woman, period. But certainly not a surprise to me, as misogyny and violence is the trade that Donald Trump traffics in. Of course, he's going to tap someone like Pete Hegseth, a smooth-talking, good-looking guy, to run over women at the Department of Defense. Listen to Ruth Ben-Ghiat as she spells it out for us.
Yeah, well, part of the Harris-Walz campaign was we aren't going back. And the Trump-Vance administration is, we are going to take you back. And this reflects, these appointments or nominations reflect values of male domination, the idea that the strongman doesn't have to ask for consent, either in politics or in the bedroom. And this is a kind of lawless, masculinity and misogyny. Pete Hegseth doesn't believe women should be in combat. And that's a very important fact about him, too. I see why this came out after they had nominated him. And I see, why they wanted him, because they are considering a very radical shift for the military's function in American life to be used domestically. This is a very big deal. And so who better than a smooth talking, practice dissembler, because he works for Fox News, to sell this to the American people. But we also have to see what values these individuals as individuals bring to the table. And here he fits the Trump worldview, which is machismo and misogyny.
Kamala Harris wanted to take us forward, and half the country voted to put us back to medieval ages where women had no voice and no rights. Thanks a lot, MAGA. Men just plundered us at will, and I want to connect the dots to sexual violence and the history in the military, which has been a huge problem since forever. The sexual assault and murder of Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen during Trump's first presidency led to sweeping changes within the military in the way that it responds and investigates sexual assault. It was President Biden who later signed parts of the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act during his presidency. And it was Donald Trump who complained about paying for Guillen's funeral costs, according to reporting in The Atlantic, after he promised her family that he would personally pay for her funeral expenses. Quote, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican." And he turned to his then chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order, quote, "Don't pay for it." That's not surprising at all. He's a pathological liar. Of course he said that to their faces and then turned right around and daggered them in the back. So that's what Trump thinks about women and women who have been sexually assaulted and murdered and women in the military. So it should be no surprise that he wants an accused rapist in charge of the Pentagon.
Sexually abuse anyone you want. And Donald Trump is more likely to see that as a qualification than as a reason not to hire you. Donald Trump, the self-confessed sexual assaulter on the Access Hollywood video, wants the world to believe there's no such thing as sexual assault. There's no such thing as rape. That's why Donald Trump chose Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. He wanted the affirmation of the United States Senate in the confirmation process to, in effect, say the women are all lying. Matt Gaetz did nothing wrong. Now Donald Trump is asking Republicans in the United States Senate to vote in favor of everything Pete Hegseth did in room 528 while he was still married to wife number 2 and having the affair with the woman who'd become wife number 3. The question now is, will 4 Republican senators, that's all it takes, 4 Republican senators, will 4 Republican senators say hell no to Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump?
What was that Donald Trump said about protecting women on the campaign trail? What was that? I will be your protector. Disgusting. As a sexual assault survivor myself, I will put this story on blast every single day. Like, it's a personal affront to me. I will remind everyone to call their senators Democrat or Republican, but especially Republican, and shame them into saying no to this nomination. My name is Suri Crowe for the MeidasTouch Network. Please share this story far and wide. Rapists belong in jail, not in the cabinet, and certainly not in the White House.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.